Hey, it's Dr. Amanda from StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about intraoral scanners. Specifically, I get this question like a good 3 times a week. Should I buy an iTero? Is it worth the investment, or should I buy another scanner? And this is a pretty loaded question that isn't it really there's so many things you have to take into account, and I really can't answer that question for somebody without really knowing their practice, what they're doing, where their vision is, what type of things they do. So I'm going to go over some of the highlights that I usually use to consult and guide doctors whether they want to buy an iTero or a different type of scanner. And really I think of it in two different camps. It's iTero and everything else basically. So I think for orthodontists, obviously iTero probably makes sense the most. It definitely makes the most sense, but for general and pediatric dentists, it might not. So let's go over some of the, at a high level, some of the high points. And the graphic here I put here because, I mean, you need to compare apples to oranges, right? So I took that picture. But okay, so first of all, on the front end, my question for you is, what type of phone do you have? Do you have a Mac? Mac, do you have an iOS, an Apple phone? Or do you have an Android, right? Or a Google phone? That's like, tells me a little bit about the type of person you are. So I always ask that question. Do you have an open phone, like an unlocked phone? Or do you have a restricted phone? Like, do you join a plan? So this is how questions I ask to get to know doctors. Because how do you feel about being owned by another company where you have to pay fees and they make all the rules and there's a lot of rules? If you're 100% all in, only with Invisalign, that's all you do, of course you're going to get iTero. That's a no-brainer. But the vast majority of general and pediatric dentists, that's not all they're doing. They're doing a lot of things with their scanner, and it's for many different things. And some of the hoops you have to go through with the iTero for other things besides Invisalign is it worth it? Not to mention the additional fees you have to pay monthly for everything, storage, everything like that. So those are the things I don't like about it. Obviously, the initial cost, the fees, the hoops for anything that's not Invisalign property. It's really easy to use if you're doing Invisalign, but if you're doing other things, it is a nightmare. And I'm going to say nightmare because if you've ever tried to export iTero to other labs, other companies, they make you go through the worst hoops. And sometimes they tell you, a lot of the customer service people at iTero tell you you can't, which is BS. But they can make it difficult for you. So people think that, oh, it's open, I can do whatever I want. No, you can't. So most dentists I know that do a lot of ortho and a lot of other stuff, they get 2 scanners. They use the iTero, maybe they get a cheaper iTero. They use their iTero for their Invisalign, and they use their other scanner for everything else because it's just much easier. And you can get a used iTero. You don't have to get the 5, the Neri. I mean, so let's talk about iTero at a high level. Let's talk about the most recent iTero and who might want that. So the most recent iTero is cool because it has this caries detector. It really, really is cool. And it has a super teeny little wand, which is really great for pedo. Older patients, pedo, anyone with a small mouth. The caries detector is incredible. And I can 100% see every pediatric dentist getting it. That makes sense because, I mean, goodness, you don't have to take so many x-rays, right? It's a lot of stuff you can see and see better than you can with an x-ray, and it's not invasive. So, and it pretty much blows parents away when they see it, but it's expensive. What else? Of course, all the iTeros have the OI sim, I think, at this point, which is the outcome simulator. If you're doing any ortho, it is extraordinarily powerful to have an iTero because you're going to scan the case, and remember, scanning can be done by anyone. So if you can scan every patient that walks in the office and just show them, hey, it takes a couple minutes. You don't have to wait. Here's approximately what the simulation looks like. It looks kind of like an easy, hard, moderate case. It gives you some idea of direction that you're going. And sometimes when they see their teeth in really graphic, reasonable, realistic graphic form, they're like, whoa, you just do it. Everyone that comes in, and even if they don't pull the trigger that day, they might pull the trigger in 6 months, 1 year. It's also a great way to document. I mean, you've seen all my videos probably on the why behind intraoral photos. The iTero 5 is pretty much taking an intraoral photo. So it's a lot more convenient because it's going to store in cloud storage. Even just in terms of like retention and retainers, assuming you're okay with getting 4 sets of Vivera. I don't love that about Invisalign, that you cannot, I know that there's not that much revenue for them in Vivera retainers, and you can get Vivera retainers for patients that weren't Invisalign patients, but you have to get 4 uppers and 4 lowers, and a lot of patients just want 1. So I wish that we could do, just 1, but that's not possible right now. But just retainers, the opportunity with retention is huge in a GP practice. Huge, because so many people lost their retainers and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's starting to shift. Well, I don't think I want to have aligners. You just scan them for retention, and then they might be like, you know what, it's only 5 aligners, I'm just going to do it, So there's opportunity there as well. And, it's going to store that image of the final product in the cloud, so if things shift later, you can always go back, push a button, and generate more retainers that can theoretically move the teeth back if they use them with chewies and stuff like that, or at least improve it a little bit. So there's a value in that too. So anyways, that is my pro iTero argument. All that, but obviously the caries detection and the small little wand is only on the most recent one, which is the most expensive. It's very expensive. I don't know. I don't want to quote prices because every time I look, there's different discounts and stuff. So you have to call them and ask. All I know is a couple $100 a month in monthly fees. And it's not quite, it's like nice, it's on a cart and stuff, but it's not quite as portable as some other ones. So, you got to think about, there's a lot of stuff to think about. Okay, so let's go over some of the other stuff. Okay, so obviously we talked about open scanners, monthly fees, how easy is it to export it? You're not going to just push a button and get an STL that you can send anywhere. Oh no. Oh no, it's not going to happen. So if you have, say, a Medit or a Huron, or 3Shape sometimes, it's really, really easy. You just export the STL and you just, basically, it's like an email. You just drop it in, to any of these EasyRx or anything like that, and you can get aligners from a bazillion different places except Invisalign. So as you guys know, Invisalign does not take, pretty much, with a few exceptions, anything else except for their own scanners. Of course, smart, right? Because it's a major revenue stream. They say it's not as accurate, but we all call BS on that. I call BS on that. So it's a monetary thing, right? But I still always feel bad for all these doctors, because before they did take them, they bought it, and then they just cut them off a few years ago, and that was kind of a jerky move, but whatever. All right. Other things to think about, the graphics. Obviously, iTero, the newest ones have really nice graphics, but other ones do too. So it's used to educate patients. There's some cheaper scanners out there that don't have that good of graphics. I mean, I try to stay on top of things, but I think Dental Wings is not so great. There's a few other ones. Anyways, I don't want to say too much because people send me nasty letters when I do. Okay, obviously for me, the hugest deal is the easy exporting, integration, open platforms, and monthly fees. That's a big deal. I want it to be easy, easy, easy. And iTero is only easy with Invisalign. Ease of use, comfort, and portability. A lot of the other ones are way more portable, and iTero is pretty easy to use. The one thing I don't like about iTero too is that most people tell me that once they buy it, it takes forever to get their training session. It's not like you get to buy it, unbox it, and set it up that day and actually be able to use it unless you know what you're doing. So hooking it up training can be a little bit tricky. Some of the other ones you're ready to go in like a day. So that's kind of a hassle too. It's a good question to ask. And obviously with any scanner out there, I just recommend that before you go invest in one, you need to go to either a show or actually do a demo where you and your team are actually not watching someone do it, but you're actually doing it, touching it, doing it, trying it. How does your team feel about the way it feels in their hands? Is it too heavy? Is it too bulky? Is it too uncomfortable? What about tips too? Like some tips are disposable, some are autoclavable. How much is it? How easy is it to break them? How often do you have to replace them? How many uses do you get of each one? Just things to think about in terms of your own workflow, because there's a lot of scanners that have really expensive tips, and if you autoclave them, they're reusable. If you autoclave them wrong, you break them, it's expensive. So things to think about too. I mean, how klutzy is your team? Obviously disposable is nice, but it's also like not so good for the environment. So things to think about. Are you going to be rolling this contraption from op to op? Are you going to be moving it? Is it going to be going from office to office? Are you going to have to put it on a network? All kind of things. Is it cloud-based? All kind of things. Does it come with the console? Does it come with the computer? Or is it just like a wand that you can plug through a USB and just use on any computer? That's nice. Not all of them are like that. And of course, training, repairs, warranties, service, and support. There's a lot of ones that are being sold out there by bigger companies, but the reps really don't know how to use them. So It's hard when something breaks. It can be down for weeks, months. So things, like my question is, if something breaks, how quickly are you going to get me a new one? Minutes, hours, days, months, weeks, you have to wait for something to get shipped. These are all things that you need to ask, and everyone's got a different policy. So and I don't stay up to date on all this. So I just hear what I hear. So I would say top 3 most people get is either iTero, Medit, or 3Shape. Most people I know kind of fall into one of those categories. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the things. Obviously if you're a general or pediatric dentist too, talk to your labs that you work with, see what they prefer, what's easy for them, which ones for them seem to have the best outcomes. Software updates, are you going to have to pay for it? Okay. Anyways, you get the idea. So there's no wrong or right answer. Obviously, remember that there's a lot of other aligner companies out there that are willing to accept any scanner. So, they're not, because they don't own a scanner company, of course, as long as it's, it's of good quality. So, it's very convenient, and you can always have 2 scanners, one for Invisalign, one for everything else, and like I always, I'm a big fan of white label, off label aligners, a lot cheaper. You're not going to have a gigantic down payment that you have to pay, for the doctor. So you have better cash flow. So some patients don't want branded. They're not even interested in branded aligners. They think it's a ripoff because they know that they're overpaying. And if you follow a lot of these forums, you really should get on some of these patient-facing forums for orthodontics, for aligners, for braces, and just see what patients are saying, because patients know they're getting the markup here. They know there's direct-to-consumer companies, many that are out there charging $2,000. And granted, they know they're not really paying the doctor. They're eliminating that, but they kind of know what the price of the aligners are. And they know they're getting a crazy markup. I was on one today, and the patient was so mad. I guess they only had 10 aligners, and I guess it might have been a light case, but they got charged $5,000. And I said, hey, well, shop around. Not everyone's going to charge you that. Maybe you might have had a good outcome, but some people have a flat fee for all their Invisalign cases. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm assuming the doctor was upfront. That's great. You got done in 10 aligners. Sometimes things go faster than expected. Sometimes, patients pay up front and they don't realize how easy their case was, but there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm all for a flat rate fee with Invisalign. I don't believe in 2 different prices. My fee is X, $4,900, $5,000. If you have an easy case, you want to try a white label or an off-label aligner system, I feel really comfortable. You'll get a great outcome. And guess what? My fee for that is $3,000. So nothing wrong with that. Anyways, all right. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, please go to StraightSmileSolutions.com.